All right, some quick examples. You can't read the purpose, can you? A little better, a little better. Okay, now it's crystal clear. Again, we're talking about makeovers now. We're really talking about transforming a pretty good slide to a really good slide. Very clear slide. That's the idea here. And I kind of hinted at this later. Part of our problem is we've been doing this research, or whatever research we're doing, for 2 years or 6 months or whatever. We're really familiar with it. We can tell that's the purpose. That's clear enough to us. But to someone who's never seen this before, they need something really simple and clear and clean. And that's the best way to get your message across. So this is an actual example I just worked on last week. This is the Huckleberry Trail. This is from a presentation that a committee gave on bicycle and pedestrian trails in the town of Blacksburg. It's a real example here. What's the purpose of the slide? Can you tell? I mean, even if you read through that, can you tell the purpose of the slide?
To show off how good Huckleberry Trail.
Close. Purpose of the slide. In my opinion, it's Huckleberries for adults and kids. That's the bottom line with that slide. The second quote, which I didn't even get you time to read, is that bicycle planning takes a long time. That's it. So again, we're down to one purpose per slide, and here's some of the things we did. We changed the background, used larger images. I don't know if you caught it, but see that reflection there? It's cute, it's nice. It doesn't really help. I mean, from a design point of view, a graphic design point of view, it's kind of nice, but just to me, it's just a little distracting. What's the point? And straightforward text with no shadow. Can't even see it here. Oh, that was, yeah, they had used some shadow in their previous text. So here's the makeover I came up with. You know, he had some other things he mentioned in that quote, which is about it being an icon in the area, in the town. So put a little classic frame around it to kind of show that it's a classic kind of idea. A little bigger picture, but you can tell what's in there. You can't tell the details, but you can tell there's some little people and some big people riding their bikes. That's all you really need to know. The Huckleberries for kids and adults. Now, if you want to use that quote he mentioned, then show it nice and big and give them 30 seconds to read along with you. It takes a bit of political bravery to work on things like bicycle routes, which have immediate costs but accrue benefits over many years. Sometimes many years after folks who initiated have long since moved on. And I don't even know the person's name, but I would have put it here if I'd known who said that. It might have been a mayor from 10 years ago, town manager or something. But you see, the whole point is now you have one purpose and a second purpose. I actually recommended they cut this one out completely because the person up there could say, and as you know, it takes a long time to do planning for bike routes. And that's all they would have had to say. This was probably in a report that they cut and pasted in and thought was important to acknowledge, which is fine. But I think for a 10-minute presentation to the town manager who's got lots of other things to do, you may not need to go into that detail. Unless it was him saying it, then you want to quote him. So again, one purpose per slide, larger image, no reflection, get rid of the title, shadow. What that was referring to was there was a version before that had a different font and they had put in shadow around it, which just does not help in the readability of it, and removed all that text. That's pretty straightforward. See the light blue makes it a little more better contrast. Ideally you could do white, but the light blue's not bad if you want to kind of go with that blue flavor. But this, what I did is I took a sample with a color picker of the lightest blue in the background and just recommended that. You can see there's a gradient that they selected, so it's bright in the middle and dark in the edges. This is kind of hard to read here, especially the black on blue there. It's not so bad in the middle, but on the edges it's harder, so I just said go ahead with the light blue. Quick makeover number 2, and I'll show you back this slide in a second. Not a bad slide in this little room with 8 of us here. You can tell there's something orange going on. There's 17 miles. There's a legend. I can't really read it, but there's a legend, right? Again, cut and paste it from a report. Not too bad, but and look, there's the shadow. See the existing bicycle lanes talk font? You can see it's okay, but it's not as crystal clear as it could be. So let's do that. Boom. You pull out the legend, you show them exactly what it is. Orange is for bicycle lanes. Gray is for roads. We have Tech and we have Blacksburg, because that's a big deal in this town. You have to know which is which. 2 separate properties. Text within town of Blacksburg, but it's not owned by the town of Blacksburg. It's a state property, actually. So again, not a huge difference, but you got the light background now, no shadow, the legend really pops out, and you can tell at a glance there's 17 miles, because the font is bigger. It's like, that's the main message here. What's the deal? 17 miles of bicycle lanes currently. They also had, for some reason they had two names. Existing bicycle lanes, current bicycle lanes. It's the same thing, but why use two different words? Existing and current. Just go ahead and make it consistent. So actually I cut out, I cropped the map a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, and cut out this part so you don't need to say it twice, and use the word current, which is in the report. So just be consistent with your wording. And again, it's not, the first one I give it a good, B plus or so, B. It's not bad. But that, I think, is the A minus A. It's a little better, clearer message there. Never do this. It's just, this is not terrible in a small room. But if your point is to focus on the $203,000, there it is. Boom, you got it. But town manager is reading this, and that's who was in the room. I was there. I watched it. He couldn't tell what this is all about. He couldn't tell there was 1, 2, 3 subcategories, and here's the bottom line. But in the slide on the right, you got it. And if he's making a decision about to fund this or not, that's all he really needs to know is tell me how much it's going to cost. Is it $1 million or $200,000? Oh, $200,000. We can do that. I can go through all the details on this one, but it makes audience frustrated. It's hard to read that table. The black font on the darkest portion of blue again is hard to read. And the lighter background helps increase things. I added in a little doodle, just kind of silly. I just came up with it as an idea, but it emphasizes an orange line. That's called the orange line. You can do whatever you want, but it's just something I just recommended trying. You could do the font in orange maybe, but I just thought that wouldn't be great on the blue background. It's a decently good complementary color combination, but the squiggle makes it clear. And this is a line of some kind. It's an orange line. Great. It's redundant, and we like that in human factors. So, one more. This one is just amazing. It's a real slide. It's not that bad. The logo's kind of cool. But why not that? Make it pop a little better. Ideally, he would put something in here to make it pop better. Again, he designed this on a computer screen. This is his actual logo for his company. But we were in a room of 120 people. Imagine being 100 feet further back and trying to figure out what this said. You couldn't even read this. Gray on white. It's really hard to tell. The logo in this room, again, it's not bad. It doesn't look so bad, but this pops a lot better. It just kind of frames it better. It makes the date crystal clear, if that's important. And again, we didn't argue about this one, but, fine. Keep it there if you want. But you really don't need that. It's not important. It makes it confusing. What's Thin Things and what's sans serif? He has two companies. One that designs stuff and one that manufactures stuff. But we couldn't figure that out until after the fact. So, very simple stuff. There's more you could do with this, but I just did this really quickly last night just to kind of show you what you could do to rescue this a little bit. You realign the images a little bit. You can't tell, but I brought it down a little bit, so there's a little black frame around it. And I made sure that the font was on black, so it's a little easier to read. This was his second slide out of 15 slides. It took him 15 minutes to do this presentation. Yeah, 120 people in the room. Business people, bankers, technology guys, a bunch of new students from new people from Rackspace were there. A lot of people from Roanoke and Blacksburg, people from all over the region were in this room, and he had a chance to really make a good impression. He didn't get to. This was his slide. Now, it's not terrible if you're sitting in front of a computer reading it and you got 3 minutes, but green on white on the top is not the best thing. And then you have 4 different fonts, or 4 different size fonts. We have 15-point font, 18-point font. I think the top is 28 or 30. This is him. Again, he's married to this slide. He knows who that is. He thinks it's a great example of him being at this conference in Newport News. But we don't know anything about that guy. We don't know his picture. We don't know what he looks like. He's stuffing envelopes. I thought he was doing a newsletter or something. I didn't know what he's doing. The picture doesn't help at all. He could have shown his logo again, maybe. Or he could have shown a logo here for his manufacturing company, and a logo here for his design company. So, hey, I have 2 companies, by the way. And we have some people we work with in China, and they're saying good things about us. That's what he's trying to say here. People in China are saying good things about us because we know the area. He's personally worked with people, and he's gotten good recommendations. That's what he's trying to say here, and I couldn't figure that out. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea why it's I looked at it, and it's actually in Chinese. The blog is in Chinese. I don't read, there's some English in there too, but I don't read Chinese, so I couldn't tell what it was. And I have no idea what, I guess he's emceeing, which means like serving as the person and introducing people between speakers. That's what an MC is. The 3rd day of this summit. Again, I don't know what BASIC is. I don't know what the Coalition for Applied Research is. And I don't know anything about technology commercialization. I don't know. And then he moved. Okay. There's like 5 purposes here. I mean, so I just took a stab at it. I don't know anything about, I did talk to him. I met with him in person last week. And this could be something like this. Here's some stuff about thin things. Just remind you what we're talking about. Use his logo as the bullets. I don't know. Just a silly idea, but it kind of works, right? It shows you that something happened to us. Remember, we got recognized as doing work in China by this guy, David Dayton, who's, I guess, well known. We were also, recognized as being a leader on a Chinese blog. I guess it's a big deal. And then last year we did a car summit, and he explained what car is. And then after 2 years I had my own business elsewhere, I just moved into the CRC. And that's too many purposes still, but it's better than that. Again, the picture doesn't help us with anything. If anything, go back to his logo and kind of tie the presentation together with something. That's what I would recommend. Maybe this sans serif's a little bigger, or just cut it out, either way. But that gray on white on the bottom is hard to read. It's just distracting. You just know what it is. Might as well, if you're going to put it in there, to make it big enough, 16-point or bigger, so you can read it. Last one. So again, you can see it. You think it's a little better. I mean, it's got some understanding to it. I think it's still too busy, but it's better than the one you had before. I think that's my last slide. Ideally, you know your slides so well, so you don't have to say that. I think that's my last slide. But I was practicing this last night up till at least 10 o'clock. So the whole point of the makeover account is, you know your purpose really well. You've been there for 2 years collecting data, or 6 months, or whatever. And to you, you could have a piece of broken glass on top of it with some scribbles, and you can still figure it out. But you really want to make it crystal clear. You want to make it simple to understand. That is amazingly it. So I know I threw a lot of information at you. With a non-human factors group, I could never have gone through those guidelines as quickly as I did, because there's so much information in there. I made the assumption, and based on some of the responses I got, I knew this, most of you have been here for at least a few months, or if not longer. Some of you don't have human factors background, but you know enough not to be dangerous, I'm sure. And did you have human factors in mechanical engineering at all before you came here?
Just one course, yes.
So that one course, a lot of people don't even get that, as you know. Some of us are from psychology, some of us are from mathematics, some of us from biology. What was your major?
Computer science.
Computer science, which is a good marriage, but sometimes because computer scientists are so married to their product, they have trouble with human factors. And so we all come from different backgrounds too. What's your backgrounds in education?
Same, you're working biomechanical stuff.
Biomechanical?
Yeah, some kind of.
Your first degree was in biomechanics?
Even in, it's a general track in industrial and system engineering.
Okay.
I'm from chemical engineering.
Chemical? Okay, wow. How about you?
Information and communication engineering.
What was it?
Information and communication engineering, like computer science.
Okay. And was that in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys study here in the U.S. or where were you?
I was in India.
Yeah.
My home country.
In Iran? Okay. That was Mark, right?
Yeah. Biochemistry and math.
Biochemistry and math?
Yeah.
Wow. And what was your degree in?
English and computer science.
So even in this room we had, and my first degree was speech communication. I gave a talk, my very first talk was 1987 when I was a sophomore, and I saw my improvement during that semester. That's one reason I stuck with speech as my first major. Plus I didn't want to do business anymore. And then I ended up with an engineering degree in ergonomics from Tech here, so I have a nice mixture of being willing at least to speak. I'm not the greatest speaker, but I'm willing to do it, and I'm good at helping people do their presentations. And then of course now with you guys, I have sort of that instant rapport, having a PhD from Tech in this program. So I kind of like having best of both worlds in me. I come from my father. My father's got a physics degree and an engineering psychology degree. So it's kind of a weird mix in one person to have that spectrum as well. But a lot of us are the same way. Mechanical and industrial are sort of not opposite ends of the spectrum, but it's not like you're getting a PhD in mechanical. It's a different angle. And of course, that's the nice thing about human factors. We come from all different disciplines. I'm sure you've had lots of people in classes like biomechanics, which is really hard for me. I think I've got a B minus because I don't have statics and dynamics. I don't know anything about a little bit about Newton's laws. Not much, but I had to learn all that pretty much for that class. And you probably all have the same thing with certain classes in this program that you still have the background for that you wish you had. So back to speaking, it's the same thing. We've all sort of taken for granted that we can speak and willing to do it, but hopefully some of these guidelines, the idea of a pitch, and the examples of the makeover can give you some tools for the future. All right.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.